I mean, this was a last-minute addition to this lineup of reviews. What had happened was I went round to a friend's house last weekend. He said he'd already seen it, but he said, "Do you want to watch it again?" And I was like, "Okay, I haven't seen this yet." I'd heard about it. This is obviously Bandersnatch is a Black Mirror episode. It's been on Netflix for a while now. The change to this is it's like a choose your own adventure book. This one's set in 1984 and follows a troubled computer programmer called Stefan, played by Fionn Whitehead, I want to say the actor's name is. He attempts to adapt the fantasy novel called Bandersnatch into a popular video game, and as it goes on, he's got all these choices to make, which you make for him. It affects the story, and you have all these different outcomes. I mean, personally, as I had someone sitting with me who'd already done it, I cheated a little bit because he would go, "Oh, I didn't have that outcome. Oh, I went a lot darker, a lot quicker than you did." And then at the end, after it ended, we went back again to see all the other bits that he'd done that I hadn't done.
Oh, I couldn't have been bothered to do that.
So can we start just a little bit on, where everyone sits on Black Mirror? Because for me, I watched the Channel 4 series, and I think I've watched 3 of the 6 of each Netflix one so far. Michael, what about you?
I love Black Mirror. There's always one series, 1 or 2 that are a bit under par, but I love the mentality. I love it. I love the things that it's questioning about society and technology and things. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan.
I'm the same as you. I've watched the Channel 4 series, and I occasionally will watch the ones that I've heard good things of. If I'm completely honest, which I'm about to be, hold your horses. I don't really understand what Black Mirror is supposed to be telling me or what it really is. Like Inside Number 9, I sort of know what that is. Black Mirror, I'm not entirely sure what it is.
It plays on technology, doesn't it? That what could be in the future, I suppose.
Okay. I'll just give my 2 penneth on this
quick,
because I think Michael's a big fan, and you've obviously was watching with a friend. I got irritated by it.
I know
I got irritated by it because obviously I went for the. I don't think I'll be on there, and I went for the most outlandish and silly things to do just because you could, and because I wanted to see what happens. So for the best example of it is I clicked Netflix when.
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah.
So
I got there twice.
That's quite rewarding because what that is he goes to his psychiatrist's office, and she tells him about Netflix, and then all of a sudden they sort of come out of character and they cut the scene, and you see that it's a TV show and all that.
Did you get to the bit with where they ninja fought?
No, yes, see, I didn't see the cutting of the scene. I saw the ninja.
The thing that
I did both because I ended up there twice.
The thing that irritated me is it was a choose your own adventure. It was make your own story, and what kept happening to me, I made these decisions, and then it would show me the outcome of that, and then tell me to go back, and then rewind the story.
Yeah.
And that's not the point of it, is it? Surely.
So I mean, it did that a lot of the time with me as well. So, for example, that thing in the doctor's surgery, that is a wall, and then it will take you back to when you get the option to follow.
But to me, I agree. I was frustrated by that, but I looked back on it and thought, well, it's being a computer game, isn't it? You have a certain amount of lives, and it's taking you back. I had a weird moment where he died in the doctor's.
Yes, I got that as well. When he decides to go on the train with his mum, and
and then you get taken back, and then he's alive again. So I was a bit like, hang on a minute. Perhaps he has a certain amount of lives that we don't know about.
There's the line about Pac-Man, isn't there?
Yes.
So narratively, as a piece of drama, just as a piece of drama, it doesn't work because I don't know what the story's actually about. As an experiment, as a piece of fun for us to be able to play around with, like an interactive TV/video game, it was kind of entertaining, except for those times where it would rewind and I would get irritated because I'd have to watch the same bits.
It's like when he taps you on the shoulder at the beginning after you accept it and he goes, "Wrong decision, mate," and then you have to go back again, and it's interesting. But after a while,
choices where they knew which way they wanted us to go. So
that's
why give us choices? It irritated me, and I was genuinely afraid at one point that it was a bit of a gag on all of us, where it didn't actually end. I thought genuinely it was just going to keep going and going and going.
I think the shortest it would have been was 90 minutes, I think. The shortest route is about 90 minutes. I mean, one of the endings that I saw, just because I was watching with my friend, I don't know if you got that, was the one where it ends up Colin's daughter is recreating it for Netflix.
No.
Never saw that.
There's several endings where he ends up in prison. I know you had one.
That's the ending where he ends up in prison.
Where he ends up in prison and the game isn't the best game ever. It's overshadowed by the fact that he's killed his dad. Mine was so long because I didn't want to hit Craig Parkinson with that ashtray.
Oh, I did. I didn't like him in this.
There's one ending where he kills Will Poulter after his dad dies. After his dad dies. There's one ending where he kills Asim Chowdhury.
What is there?
Yeah, there's one ending, as I say, where it's Will Poulter's daughter, and then it sort of starts on a loop again because she's recreating it, and then she's experiencing the same things that Stefan experienced. So there's all these. So I saw most of the endings.
So Michael, listening to that, does that intrigue you to go back? Because for me, it irritates me.
I did about 2 hours, and I thought that was about enough. I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but I didn't find the need to go back and watch it the next day and try a different path and a different path and different path, because it's not the fastest paced thing in the world,
and the story wasn't that interesting,
and it slows it down every time.
And if you keep seeing the same bits of story again and again, it's not going to be that interesting.
Although,
I think
saying that, the scene where he says one of us has got to jump off the roof.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what decisions you made, but I made the decision first of all to have Stefan jump off the roof.
So did I.
And then the second time when it went back, I had Colin jump off the roof.
I say Colin.
In that instance, it's seen as you wake up in the car, you wake up again, and then Colin's mysteriously disappeared. Whereas if you'd done it differently, then there's a different way to go on it, sort of thing. So there's different. You make different decisions at different points. Then there's different routes through it. Sorry, go on.
It's frustrating. I would agree with Luke in the sense that sometimes in certain avenues that they are wanting you to go a certain path.
It felt like that to me because every decision I made, they were like, "Go back," and I'm like, "Well, hang on, I'm supposed to be making the choices."
They took away the choice altogether.
Yeah.
Unlike any other Black Mirror, this had more of a sense of novelty about it. Mm-hmm. It was fine while it was on, but it's not one I would go back to.
And it was stressful as well. Because I watched
with the 10 seconds countdown.
I watched it via PS4, and every time there was a decision to make, the controller would vibrate, which added to my stress.
It was a novelty, and Black Mirror it's not a novelty thing. Even though it has sillier moments in a lot of episodes, there's still
I would equate it actually to how some people felt about the Inside Number 9 live episode, in that it was an interesting idea, the novelty of it, but the story wasn't as strong. I think I saw that it had got about 60-odd% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that.
Those ratings are dependent on which version they saw, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a hard one to wade through, isn't it? And there was a lot of sort of nods as well to other episodes in this, wasn't there? There was a lot of sort of Easter eggs. I mean, the games that the company had already produced were names of Black Mirror episodes, weren't they? Like Nosedive and things like that. I will remember this, but it's not something that, because of the novelty of it, I think. But it's not one of the classic Black Mirror episodes. I mean, one of my favourites, and it's not one that a lot of people look back on as fondly, is the Lenora Critchlow one. Because that was one where you just left on a sort of...
that was the first one I was genuinely freaked out by.
Yeah.
And I think this as well had more of a definitive conclusion than a lot of Black Mirrors, don't they? Leave you on a bit of a sour note, don't they? Mm. Whereas this had, wherever you ended up, whether it be prison normally or other bits, it was a definitive conclusion, maybe because of the nature of the narrative, that at the end you have got this conclusion, even though there are so many of them. But it's an interesting experiment, and I applaud them for trying something like this, but I don't think it's something that particularly worked for any of us, I think.